There is white text on a black background. When the South Asian subcontinent was freed from British rule in 1947, what was known as British India violently partitioned into India and Pakistan. Pakistan itself was comprised of two main areas: East, modern-day Bangladesh, and West, modern-day Pakistan. Urdu-speaking West Pakistan was favoured by the central government, whilst the Bengali-speaking people of East Pakistan were neglected, exploited, and situated in a cultural and racial hierarchy which persists today. In 1971, the people of Bangladesh fought a war of self-determination and independence. During this period, the Pakistani army and a number of faith leaders in Bangladesh instigated and were responsible for a series of war crimes against the Bengali people and religious minorities. The war resulted in the formation of Bangladesh as a secular nation. However, many were still waiting for justice. In 2013, war criminals and those who had colluded with the Pakistani army went on trial and were given what was perceived by many as light sentences. This spurred on activists who took to blogging to criticize the sentences and increasing role of religion in the politics of a country first established as a secular nation. They, along with religious minorities, have been and continue to be targeted by fundamentalist groups. The government often places blame on the activists. Many of these fundamentalist groups follow an extremist interpretation of Islam called Wahhabism. This is spread throughout the world, including Bangladesh, through institutions like schools and mosques that are funded from Saudi Arabia, where the ideology originates from. There is a red background with black text saying Scarlet Nights, Chapter 4. The screen turns to the Scarlet Knight's hideout. Iyawa is lying down, as is Fei and Mali, exhausted from their trip from Hong Kong. They are all sitting on the sofa together, looking tired and sleepy. Phoolan approaches them and asks how Hong Kong was. Smiling, Fei says, same old, we managed to get Poochie here and send Marilyn on her way. Iyawa, looking concerned, asks how things were here and how the Bangladeshi workers were doing. Have they decided what they want to do? Phoolan responds that they all want to go back home except for one, the one that they suspected would not want to go back. Fei, looking on her phone, asks what his name is again. Iyawa, with a drink in hand, says Abani, and Fei responds that she knew she'd seen that name before and that he's definitely a high-level risk if he goes back to Bangladesh. Noor sparks a cigarette and asks if he is a religious minority. On the sofa, Fei responds, nope, he's a practicing Muslim and secular activist. He had a blog I read using an online translator. He and a few other locals were criticizing Saudi-funded madrasas. Madrasas are Islamic faith schools. Iyawa asks if Phoolan is alright, and Phoolan responds that she needs some air. The screen then cuts to Phoolan walking down a corridor by herself. Then it cuts to her smoking a cigarette and sighing. She kicks open the door to the outdoor garden where Amma is flowering some plants. She asks if Phoolan is okay, as she thought she was trying to quit smoking. Phoolan responds, fuck that, this shit never fucking ends, angrily. Amma, continuing to water the plants, asks, is it? And Phoolan responds, yes, it brings back why we had to leave Bangladesh. Phoolan joins Amma in watering the plants and says that she knows exactly how the activist feels. He wants to go back, but he can't, even though her family fought to liberate the country in 1971. Amma says, Phoolan, I know we run the therapy services here, but if it is too much for you, we have options. You don't have to speak with him. The scene gradually pulls out to the garden, showing flowers and butterflies among the vegetables that they are growing there. Phoolan says she will see how she feels in the evening. Fei kicks open the door, saying, "Hey!"
Amma and Phoolan turn around.
Amma angrily responds, "Can you all please just use that door normally?" Fei, looking happy, says, "Sorry Amma, we got the email, papers are ready." Cut to a black background. Cut to headlights, a car and headlights, and flashlights shining bright. Boram and Noor are in the back of the car, whilst Phoolan drives and Amma is in the front. Boram asks, "So we're getting papers for those who are working in the factory?" Amma responds, "And some of the people who had their asylum applications rejected. Some need to stay with us longer for therapy and counselling, but some are ready to now rebuild their lives somewhere in Japan." Boram asks, "How do we even get these papers? Are they real?" Cut to the other side of the car, where Phoolan says, "We have an ally working for the government in a very senior position. We don't know their name or what they look like." Noor adds, "Once a month we send them a list of what we need, then we wait to hear when and where the collection will be." Wide shot of the car. "You three go, I'll wait here." Noor points when they are out of the car, saying, "There." There is a cat lying on top of some files that have been placed for the knights. Boram claps, trying to wake the cat up. Cut to a black screen and the cat hisses. The cat is then running away from the knights with the documents in its mouth. Noor, Amma and Boram are all running after the cat. The cat sits on top of the files and hisses at the knights. Noor aims a gun at the cat, saying, "Fuck this, it's taking the piss," whilst Amma tries to stop her, saying, "No, Noor, we don't do this. I'm sure this can be resolved." Noor, looking angry, says, "How the fuck are we going to do that? This cat won't give up its damn bed." Cut to the cat growling. Black screen. Cut to the cat on Amma's lap in the car back home. Amma, laughing, says, "I'll ring Fei, ask her to take out the biggest cardboard box she can find." Cut again to the knight's hideout. Phoolan is with Abani, the Bangladeshi migrant who does not want to return home. She is giving him some rum, saying, "Here you go, brother. On your blog you mentioned that you like rum." And he says, "Thank you, it's been a while since I had some." They sit down next to each other drinking, and she says, "We have your papers for you to stay in Japan, but there's no rush. You can stay here with us as long as you need. Sorry it's not as well done as the ladies' area." He responds that it's fine, thank you. Cut to Phoolan saying, "Even though large members of my family joined hands with their Muslim brothers to fight Pakistan's attack in 1971, we ended up having to leave when I was 10 years old along with many other Hindus." Cut to a medium shot of Abani and Phoolan. Abani says, "We went from being the bullied minor state of Pakistan to having our own sovereign secular nation, but by making Islam the state religion and amending secular laws, religious minorities are in a shitty position. We were so desperate to boost our economy, our country and its people were sold to the Saudis and Wahhabism." There is then a medium close-up of Abani saying, "I was never that good with school. Now my younger brother, I knew he was clever. I knew he'd do well and at least manage to bring himself out of poverty." The scene then cuts to his family in Bangladesh. A title reads, "Everyone, me, the most, wanted him to be given the best chance in life, but we could only afford to send him to government school until that day." The scene then cuts to a busy, crowded street where a man is advertising a new madrasa, saying, "Send your children here for education and good deen." Abani and his brother approach. Deen, by the way, is an Arabic word for religion or faith. Abani says, "Deen we can teach at home, brother," and the shot pans out to a wide city landscape. He says, then it cuts to a close-up of Abani. "Saudi money built this madrasa, didn't it? Just like the 2 new ones in the next town." The man advertising the school angrily responds, "So what if it did?" Abani responds, "I want my brother to be a good man. We're going home where he'll be taught to love those of all faiths and none, and that being a man doesn't give him supremacy over others." Onlookers gather as they argue. The scene then cuts to Abani and a few others gathered around a laptop. The title reads, "After that, I joined forces with neighbours who felt similarly." There is then a shot of Abani and his friends meeting with a politician. "We even approached our local politician and started doing YouTube videos talking about the need for Bangladesh to remove Islam as the state religion and truly embrace secularism. We were all slaughtered by the Pakistani army in 1971, and we've allowed that same hatred to affect religious minorities. The wider Ummah, the global Muslim community, has allowed Saudi Arabia to export theocratic fascism everywhere. From blasphemy laws in Indonesia and Pakistan to mosques in the UK, they are poisoning the Ummah." And then, one night, a group of fundamentalists came to our town, is in a speech bubble against a black background. Abani is sleeping in his bed. His mum is waking him up. "Wake up, wake up." He says, "What is it, mum?" She says, "They're going to Bas's house." They are both in the living room looking through a window. Basir is lying on the floor whilst another fellow activist is standing beaten up as a man points his gun towards him. Abani looks through and sees his friend looking dishevelled and beaten up. Their eyes meet, and both eyes are filled with tears. Suddenly there is a gun and bang noise, and Abani's fellow activist is shot. There is a close-up of Abani crying. Then a medium shot of Abani crying in his mother's arms. His mother says, "Find a way to your uncle's fishing boat. Go India, Nepal. Just leave before they find you and kill you." Abani is seen running away from his home. Back in his home, one of the fundamentalists is saying, "How do we know this won't grow up to be just like his brother?" The parents say, "We won't, we promise you." But the fundamentalist says, looking at the brother, "Monday he better be at the local madrasa. Even though he's gone, we'll still keep a close eye on this family. If your eldest knows what's good for him, he'll stay away and keep his mouth shut." Then it cuts to Abani sobbing as Phoolan comforts him. He says, "But how can I keep my mouth shut? My brother is now in those godforsaken schools. School textbooks are being changed by religious groups." Phoolan responds, "I'll tell you what we'll do. The Crown Prince of Saudi is visiting Bangladesh next week. Let's take our country back and take your fight for the Ummah to the House of Saud itself. And this is over an urban scape of Bangladesh." We then see "To be continued." Artwork by Dead Lizard Artist. Instagram handle at 86_studios. Story by Tish. Music by Hopin All. Instagram handle at Hopin All. Background art by Chanushka Pereira. Instagram handle at Chanushka's Art. Instagram at Scarlet Night. Scarlet_night_. Facebook at Dusty Comics Scarlet Nights.